Well, I've always been interested in Audre Lorde, and I say interested because I know her writing, I know her poetry, I know various aspects of her message that, of course, have always inspired so many students.
I thought, how great would it be to be new here, to offer the opportunity for people to get together to discuss issues that are of concern for Audre Lorde, issues of race, of class, of gender, of sexual politics, of queer politics. I just wanted to see what would happen. I had no idea I was new, and I wanted to open an invitation for a conversation in the spirit of Audre Lorde.
Here you have this brilliant film, this exciting project that is bringing Audre Lorde to the masses in the context of those Berlin years. So thinking not about her work in the United States context, but really looking at her work in Germany. So I was just very excited to be a part of a group that was able to bring the Legacy Tour here and to expose students in Hawaii and the broader community here in Honolulu to Audre Lorde for the first time in many cases.
We're among a generation of students who may not even know who she is, and so I remember when I was beginning to get excited about the conference and letting people know about it, many in the art department surprisingly didn't know who she was, and it was watching this huge generational shift. So then it was a great opportunity for me to say, oh, this, she's this black lesbian who did so much work, and she wrote this book and this book and this, and she wrote that, and so you sort of see this curiosity peak. But generally you're not going to find her books here unless it's in an ethnic studies class or something like that. It's not necessarily even in the English department, certainly not in the art department, where I feel like it should be,
I felt like it would be a wonderful opportunity to meet people who share similar political values and interests in activism, and also just an opportunity to really have a chance to celebrate her work.
Here at UH, we hardly ever get an opportunity to do anything that's specifically black or lesbian. And as someone who's like a mixed black woman and gay, it was a really great opportunity to reconnect with Audre Lorde. I was probably around the same age when I was like 19 or 20 when I read Sister Outsider. And along the same lines, I was in the process of coming out at the time, and Audre Lorde was one of those just completely inspiring women that really spoke to me.
The festival went beyond my expectations because initially what I hoped is that there would be a revival of a conversation about the many ideas that Audre Lorde has brought to us, and a renewed interest for many in Audre Lorde's writings and what she could do and what she did to inspire people. But I also thought, well, the other expectation would be that those who'd never heard of Audre Lorde ever would suddenly know her and be able to experience her and be inspired by her. So those were my initial expectations. I would add to that also I wanted to expand the conversation about African diaspora black communities in Europe, and it was a wonderful way to do that and consider Germany and Audre's contributions.
For different people here, it raised questions of the connection to African diaspora, to African Americans, not only in Germany, but also making the connection to histories here. So I think that was very unique for this particular context, and wonderful to see brought to the fore as well, because it isn't often.
I didn't know about Audre Lorde's black-German connection at all, so it was really learning an entirely new side of Audre Lorde around her, like the black-German connection, and what was going on among black German women at that time, and how empowering she was for them. And also, so it gave me an insight into Germany, as well as to Audre Lorde, as well as to black lesbians in Germany, and mixed black women in Germany. So it was really exciting for me to just see the poetry and things that were coming out of Germany at that time.
I'd heard kind of about her time in Germany, but I was not super exposed to it. I didn't really understand the depth of which she really inspired a movement there. I mean, she really allowed for the first time to get, what I gathered from the film was that she gave them a name for themselves in a way that they didn't have. They didn't really have that sense of Afro-German identity. They were able to, develop literary journals and organizations as a result of her inspiration. And I think one of the things that I find so powerful is just how she fostered community. She always encouraged people, it sounds like, from her at the gatherings, just at least meet one other person, at least engage with somebody, tell somebody your story. And that's one of the things that I think is just so powerful about her work, is how she connected people together that just so often felt alone in their own experience and their own oppression, in their own isolation in terms of how society treated them. So that was something I really appreciated also from the film, and just from the speakers as well.
And one particular exciting part of the festival that was really important to me as a scholar of African diaspora studies was the presence and involvement of Ika Hugo Marshall, and that was so important, particularly as we consider her memoir, Invisible Woman, and I use that in my classes at the University of Hawaii, so it was so exciting to have her here and talk about it, to read from the text, but also to talk about her experiences with students and faculty of being a woman of African descent growing up in post-World War II Germany.
Her autobiography, and talk about her childhood and her experiences, that was something that was really interesting, and also devastating to hear about some of the really horrific things that were happening and how people were being treated as Afro-Germans during that time period.
But here she is, in the flesh, as it were, talking about it, discussing it, and engaging with students and faculty members and others in the community, and that was so exciting and such an important part of the festival, to have her here and to have that presence and to have that story of that intersection of the African American presence in that part of the diaspora with Black identities in the German context. So really a unique experience.
I think with the film screening, and then as you mentioned also 2 documentaries on Audre Lorde, 2 on Maya Yim, and then also having Ika read from sections from her autobiography, I think made a very powerful impact on bringing that to the fore in this context, but also making the context, the connection to Germany. I think that was also very crucial.
Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing the film on Maya, because I wasn't familiar with her previous to this festival, so I did feel like it really exposed me to some really incredible new artists that I was not aware of.
I saw that space of inspiration emerge in ways that couldn't have been done by just a film screening. The festival itself and its makeup, and that you have the showcase of the Berlin Years and that particular film, but other films around Audre, and films that tell you stories about those who inspired her, and those, of course, that she provided inspiration for. So you have Maya Yim, you have all of these kinds of discussions in the United States, Black feminism, all of this comes into the picture.
The approach with how she was dealing with her cancer and talking about that, I thought was really powerful. And she, I have read some of the materials about it, but just hearing her talk about, we don't really know what the face of our challenges are going to look like until we encounter them. And I think just seeing how she was really handling that and dealing with it, even just these moments of where she was like making jewelry, or different ways that she was coping and finding meaning in her life during that challenging time, I felt like was really powerful to see.
Yeah. Watching her dance was also really fun.
Yeah.
I had never seen her dance.
No.
I think that was just like her just celebrating life and having a good time and being goofy. That was really great. It kind of took her off of the awe and pedestal and made her, just like an everyday person, just having a good time with her friends. So that was really great. I love that.
In that process of exposing people to the history of Audre Lorde and that message, you also start to, if anything, spark an energy, again, that Audre always provided, but you spark it in new generations. And around that festival you have the films, and then you have the conversations. The conversations about Audre, the conversations about Black feminism, about the space of women in society, regardless of how you're racialized, regardless of your geographic location. Where do you find your space? How do you find empowerment? All of these discussions came up. And so there were poetry readings, and we were able to facilitate that, and testimonials in which individuals talked about not only Audre and the impact that she made upon their lives, but what they did with that impact and how they explored new ideas, or what they do in their own lives in terms of touching policy or teaching or creating or writing.
I actually did bring her up in one of my classes. I'm in a social work program, and I think that for me, one of the things that was powerful about this conference was, I think, doing various types of social work, you do kind of feel that level of burnt out, and a lot of people in my programs do, and I think that she provides that type of inspiration that really helps you to get over those feelings, and at least it did kind of for me, and it really made me kind of become more excited again about doing the work. I think it is something that could be incorporated in so many programs.
I hope very much that it continues to keep these kinds of conversations about race, class, gender, queer studies at the forefront of the kind of work we do. And also we came together across departments and across colleges, and I heard from a number of people that isn't the most common thing. And I hope that continues too, and that we connect academic work with work off campus, with our concerns that manifest through academic work, with our concerns that are non-academic, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
I think that her work is so valuable, it's so meaningful. There does need to be a very conscious effort to raise awareness about her.
So I think it opened the door for discussion. But of course, we're all students and we've all gotten busy and we haven't been able to reconnect. But we are starting, I know some of us are starting to think of creating a queer Pacific arts collective. And we are looking at getting some seed money in order to start that, so that if we want to do a like a workshop in the fall out of this conversation, then we can raise some money and kind of organize that.
So that excitement was not something that I wouldn't expect to happen, but it wasn't necessarily the ultimate goal or the immediate goal. I just wanted to create a conversation and be a part of that. So that was exciting to see that energy that came out of this festival.